Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a phenomenal weekend. Let's take another look here at Bitcoin. Just a quick update on what's going on. It's nothing super spectacular. This is a weekend after all. It is low volume. In most cases, the price will kind of jump around. But for the most part here, we are starting to see some divergences, and I wanted to talk about that. Just kind of give you a heads up that the price may actually pull back. We might lose this support here at 61.8. Very early to tell, but the general consensus here is that this local point of control is kind of holding the price action down. If we can't close above that, we're probably going to see further downside. So I did actually open up a second short today. We have an SUI short from yesterday. It's in profit. So things are looking kind of good to the downside. I'm not trying to get you, in like a bearish mindset, because I don't think we are per se. It's just kind of a short-term pullback is just kind of the anticipation. It would make sense that we pull back, and I'll explain here in a minute what's going on there. So if you're new to the channel, thanks again for watching. Just hit the like button, comment below. Deeply appreciate you hitting or smashing the like button, as some say. Anyways, what we want to look at here with Bitcoin is kind of recognizing a few things here. First of all, liquidation is pretty heavy to the upside, right? So it would make sense that we get a wake up to that 63.1 mark. Because again, there's billions of dollars at 63,100. However, market makers are pretty genius, and they have a tendency of getting us to want to go to a specific area, buying the late long and essentially reversing it on us. So I'm not super convinced we're back on track, but for the most part, we're looking like we are. Okay, so just kind of give you a heads up here. The macro still looks pretty decent. We've shifted momentum from a short-term bearish trend to a short-term bullish trend. But again, this being a weekend, it's generally best to avoid trading, specifically Bitcoin. Altcoins are a different story. Once you identify a pairing of Bitcoin or an inverse pairing, then you can kind of maximize that potential in a lot of cases. However, at this point here, we look, not a lot of liquidation on the downside. Again, roughly about 5 to 6 billion at about 63,000. We kind of add it up together between now and then. That is maybe just 20 to 30 billion in liquidation between now and 63,000. So it's not a massive amount. You may think that that's a lot, but in the world of crypto trading, it's really not much. But again, on the same accord, it's starting to grow. Okay, so just know that. Now, what that also tells us too is that there is a resistance that we're seeing in that 63,000 range. And again, a lot of that hinges on the fact that we have a macro point of control at 63,000. So we kind of look at the larger, bigger picture here. Let's exclude that lower region and only focus on, since we've been above, just say above 50,000. We can see here that macro point of control, 63,263.1, almost exactly at that large accumulation of volume here, or more importantly, liquidation, which is volume, and effectively, just understanding that's a resistance for us. So what that means for us right now, at this exact moment, is very little. But what it does mean for us in the overall sense here in the next few days or weeks is that we're going to have some difficulty likely crossing that $63,000 mark. So if you have a take profit target on the long, for example, maybe consider 62.9 or 63.2, essentially, if we get that little candle wake up there to sweep that liquidity. The key takeaway is that we're going to see some resistance there initially. We're not quite there yet, but that's soon to pass. Daily time frame, though, we're kind of teetering between 50 on the RSI above and below. Or just generally, while we are above, this is not like a phenomenal accomplishment, right? We haven't truly seized 50 on the RSI, in my opinion, based on the simple fact that we're really, really close to that level. Okay, generally speaking, when the price action kind of hangs out at that range, we're going to see a breakout in either direction. But again, it makes sense for the price action to break down then up, at least in the short term. Okay, now again, stochastic is swinging up here. That gives us good momentum. MACD hasn't fully converged. Trend strength is low. There's a lot of conflicting factors here, kind of letting us know that daily time frame isn't phenomenal. We do take a look at our moving averages. We're kind of getting compressed in between a handful of them. So we're basically above 2 and below 2. So being below the 20 and the 200, that's a little more impactful than the others, but honestly, being over the 50 is a really good deal. So that really reaffirms that 60,000 is probably the likely bottom for the moment. However, that can change at any time. But the truth is, being over the 50, I would say, probably carries the most weight. But we want to be over the 20 to estimate to kind of get that little, we're back on track kind of feeling, right? So between now and then, I wouldn't get too excited. 4-hour time frame. We want to look at this here as well and understand that we have broken free from our range, and we can kind of extend this out. This should work as a new support level, but we just need to kind of wait and see, honestly, because it's not an exact level, but that 61,800, we're going to have to kind of see if that holds as a support moving forward or not. While it's not a super strong support, based on the fact that we don't have a ton of volume at this range, and it was only tested maybe 2 or 3 times before it broke, we still have to respect the fact that should likely hold. However, we've tested it 2 or 3 times to the downside already, and we keep retesting. And I'll show you in the hourly time frame the pattern that I'm seeing here that's looking disadvantageous. It's the same pattern I saw in Aptos and SUI here recently. All the more reason why we have shorts open with those coins. So take a look here. Daily, 4-hour time frame, stochastic is trying to pull back. It's basically a second swing to the downside. While money flow index is high, you got to recognize this is based on the last 14 candles, which on the 4-hour time frame is like 2.5 days. And we haven't seen a lot of volume in the last 24 to 48 hours. So the truth is that's kind of a flawed statistic. So for those of you using, blood diamonds and all that garbage on other indicators, it's not that it's bad, don't get me wrong, but this is a false positive. We don't want to pay attention to this money flow index thinking that it's phenomenal. It is great that the last few, like basically a day and a half ago, we saw a lot of volume, but that's flawing the statistics right now, specifically on a weekend. So I wouldn't trust money flow index on the weekend, or at least understand how it works first before you use it. And that does factor into majority of those other indicators that folks are using when you do see those red and green dots. Take a look at the hourly. Ichimoku cloud. What do you know here? We are still above the cloud, but the lagging span is intersecting with the price action within the next hour. So unless Bitcoin shoots straight up moving forward here, we're probably likely to see the price action continue lower. Now let me go ahead and show you the pattern here that I'm seeing that I don't really like. And again, some folks might like argue and say this is like a bull pennant pattern, which is true. It kind of has some characteristics there. Again, this is a weekend though, folks, too. Remember that. But we do have more so a descending channel here, a descending trend. And again, trends are never specific or exact, but if we do take a look here and we see, the general consensus here is that when the price action comes up and it establishes lower highs, it'll continue to do so until it doesn't. Okay, so I mean, if it does one of these, that's a different story. Okay, pay attention to that. But if it continues the way that it is, it will likely break down here because we're going to continue to retest this support level, and inevitably it will break. Okay, so again, give you an example. This is what I saw here on Aptos, for example. This is a short trade that we took. And if you see this lower level here consistently getting retested, inevitably breaks, right? So what you want to do is you want to trade into that right here in this range and essentially see that the price action is more likely to continue lower. Again, there's a lot of other contributing factors there. That wasn't the one thing that I looked at, but that's happening right now on Bitcoin. It's very premature though. Again, this isn't like definitive because we've only really tested this range here one time. But if we come down to the retest here again, we get kind of a weak pump with slow volume. Likely a good consideration of short right here, and then the price probably going to continue lower. Okay. Again, a lot of this stuff is different and strange and unique on weekends, so please understand that going into this. But the general idea here is that if you're seeing some small coins suffering right now, they're bleeding out really bad before Bitcoin hits its support level, there's a great chance those altcoins are going to continue to run because we're hitting that support range, and while supports are supposed to hold, it's that natural knee-jerk reaction that these other altcoins are doing, specifically altcoins that are overextended. They are selling off prematurely in light of those things happening. Okay, so again, just some things to kind of think about. Anyways, those are just little stuff that I kind of look at when I do what I do, and that's just kind of how it works. Everyone has their own strategies, but I really love being able to trade these kind of patterns when coins are overextended and you get that confirmation that the top is in. That's kind of where we're at right now, tentatively for Bitcoin, but altcoins more specifically. I hope that makes sense and I described that correctly. Thank you again so much for watching. Don't forget to join our sponsor, Bitunix. Awesome deposit bonus. If you've already used my link to register, all good. You're eligible. Go ahead and jump on that. It's mainly for our community. But if you're new, you want to come on over, check them out. They're a really cool exchange. I deeply appreciate you watching. CryptoCash.tech is the site if you want to become a better trader. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.